So the past couple of years has been pretty tough for lots of people, and the thought of shelling out anything from £50 to £300 on a fragrance is unthinkable for many people in the current climate. So today I'm going to talk about 8 fragrances that you can pick up from your local Lidl supermarket that smell very similar to the big brand designer fragrances that you find on the high street. But these ones come at a fraction of the price. And to find out which of the famous fragrances these ones are inspired by, stay tuned to this episode of Mags Frags. Yes, hello again, and thank you very much for tuning into this latest episode of Mags Frags. I'm Paul, and today I'm taking a look at this 8 fragrance haul that I picked up from my local Lidl, and all 8 of them together cost less than £40. Fragrances have been a passion of mine since I was a teenager, but a couple of things that have always been a little bit uncomfortable for me is the extortionate markups and profit margins of the major brands. There's probably less than 20p worth of juice in some of the bottles, and what you're paying for are A-list celebrity endorsements and massive TV ad campaigns. Another thing that kind of gets my back up is some of the pretentiousness and the snobbery among a small selection of people in the community that will kind of scoff at these and other inspired by fragrances, which is fine if you've got a room full of your Clive Christian fragrances at £500 a pop. Of course you're going to think that these are a little bit inferior. But for anyone who can't afford the high cost of niche or designer fragrances, for instance if you're a student or you're out of work and claiming benefits, then these give you the opportunity to smell great for next to nothing. These are all they're either £4.49 each for a 75ml bottle, which is an eau de toilette concentration. But then we also have a collection that are £4.99. They come in an EDP concentration and the 100ml bottle size. So for that kind of price, these are absolutely bonkersly cheap. So the big question is, at that price, do they smell garbage or are they actually wearable? Well, I've got to say I've tried all of these over the past couple of days, and I've got to say that I'm really impressed with how long some of these last and how well they perform. But the spoiler alert, I mean, none of these ones are going to be as smoothly blended as the originals, and they do open up a little bit synthetic and cheap smelling, so I'm not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes and pretend that these are as good as your designer fragrances, because they do have a little bit of a synthetic quality to them. But give them a few minutes to settle down and they do have a very good similarity to what they're supposed to be mimicking. They all carry the name of G. Bellini, who I presume is the perfumer, and anyone who's into their fragrances will probably be able to tell what these are supposed to be copies of by either their name or the colourway of the packaging, etc. So let's get into this little haul and let's see what these ones are all about. So the first one I'm going to look at is this one, and it's called Victory. And it's part of the Essence line, which is the Lidl premium collection, and it comes in an eau de parfum concentration and a 100ml bottle size. This one is a copy of Invictus by Paco Rabanne, and to my nose smells very similar to the original, with that fresh citrusy opening and the grapefruit and mandarin orange, and we've also got like a bit of a woody and earthy dry down. And as soon as I sprayed it, I thought, yeah, that's a pretty good and definite copy of Invictus. The thing that shocked me most, though, with this one was that it was still projecting 3 hours later, and I kept getting strong wafts of it. Seems for ages. This one is £4.99 for a 100ml bottle size. So no, maybe it's not quite as good as the original in terms of performance and scent quality if you were to do like a side-by-side comparison. But for value for money, this is an absolute winner, and for as long as it lasts on you, nobody is ever going to know that you're not wearing the original. So all in all, a really good solid first impression to this haul. Okay, next up we have this one. I don't know if you can see that there, but this one is called Homme. and this is was inspired by Dior Sauvage, and out of all of them, this is the biggest knockoff in terms of how it's presented in the dark to light blue colourway. It even features a little bee or wasp motif similar to the Dior. This one is a 75ml bottle, and it's an EDT concentration, and this one you can pick up for £4.49. And again, I've got to say, it does a fairly good job at replicating the original. There's absolutely no mistaking what this is meant to be, but I'm sure if I now sprayed a couple of sprays of the original, I'd be able to maybe tell some slight differences. But just sitting here now smelling this, I'm smelling Dior Sauvage. Again, if it only lasts for a couple of hours, you can always give yourself a few sprays, because at this price, it's going to cost you similar to what you'd pay for like a large Costa coffee. So you can afford to go a little bit more heavy on the trigger. Yeah, this next one is another one from the Essence collection, and it's called Aqua Fresh. Again, an eau de parfum concentration and 100ml bottle size. This one is a copy of Acqua di Gio Parfum by Giorgio Armani. This is a fresh, clean and uplifting scent for the summer, with lots of citruses up top, with a strong presence of neroli, which gives it a soapy smell. There's also a slight bitterness lurking in the background, which is very similar to what you get in the original. You even get like this frosted glass bottle which resembles the original, but I was never really a huge fan of Acqua di Gio, the Parfum version, and I always found it to just be a little bit too sharp for my taste. But if you do enjoy that particular one, I think this is a really enjoyable fragrance, because it's pretty much spot on, and it also has a really good performance. This one, you're probably going to get 4 or 5 hours of projection from this. Yeah, so this next one is called One Fragrance, and it comes in a gold box and features like a gold bullion on the front. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a copy of Paco Rabanne's 1 Million. However, if that's the case, then this is the most disappointing one out of this lot, because it smells nothing like 1 Million. To me, it smells more like this L'Occitane, which is still a nice fragrance in its own right, but I would say that this is probably the least accurate in terms of being a smell-alike. It's probably the worst performer too, and after an hour I couldn't smell it at all. So this one is more like what you'd expect to find of a scent of this price, but I wouldn't say this one is very good. Yeah, at number 5 we have one called Deep, and this comes in a navy blue colourway in the box and the bottle, and it has white text, so I'm wondering what this might be a dupe of. Yeah, you guessed it, it's a copy of Bleu de Chanel. This one is a really nice, fresh and fruity fragrance, but I'd say it's only about 60-70% similar to the original, but you can definitely tell that it's a nod to it. But I'd say this is more sweet and fruity. This is still a really nice smelling fragrance in its own right though, and I would say it's maybe a good thing that it takes on a little bit of its own character, and I actually really like how this one smells. It's probably closer to Maisoni Parfum, one that I've actually covered in my 365 project, so check that one out. It's very much like Bleu de Chanel, but you just get this more fruity, kind of an apple type of note as well in there, but it's definitely in the ballpark of the mass appealing blue fragrance. The performance again, I would say is half decent on this one. You're going to get a couple of hours of projection and maybe 4 hours of longevity, and overall I think this is a really nice and pleasant fragrance that's more people are going to enjoy this than say it doesn't smell very nice. Okay, up next we've got one called Essence Dark Blue. Again, that's from the Essence range, which is eau de parfum and 100ml size. And I think this is meant to be maybe a copy of something like Boss Bottled Dark Blue or Versace Dylan Blue. But if it is, then it doesn't smell anything like either of those two. But I might be wrong. But to me, it's an identical clone of Dolce & Gabbana Parfum. I'm pretty confident that it's probably not meant to be a copy of Dolce & Gabbana Parfum, but I'd say it's 90% similar. But the only thing that with this one is it's got a bit more of a synthetic alcohol smell to it. Again, with it being an EDP concentration, you get pretty decent performance, and it lasts 5 or 6 hours. And I'd have to mention the presentation, because all of these bottles in the Essence range actually feel pretty good quality, and they come with a decent atomizer, and like you get a colour gradient printed on the front of the bottle. And that's apart from the Aqua copy, because that gets the frosted finish. But yes, I'm very impressed with the finish and the presentation of these. And I've reviewed £200 plus fragrances with less presentation than these. Isn't that right, Jeremy Fragrance? I know you're watching. Next up, we've got one called Xbolt. Again, by G. Bellini Fragrances. This is a 75ml size. And this one is a copy of the original Boss bottled, without a doubt. It smells virtually identical, but this one is one of those rare occasions where the knockoff actually smells better than the original. I've yet to smell any of the Boss bottled line that actually I really like, and to me they all have a certain bitterness that lurks in the background, and no matter how many times I try to persist with them, they just aren't for me. But this one doesn't have any of that bitterness, and it's much more of an enjoyable fragrance, and it doesn't like cling to the back of your nostrils and your throat like Boss bottled does. But yeah, I think this is a nice solid release, and again, decent performance on this one. Another maybe 4 or 5 hours of longevity. Yeah, so bringing up the rear, and the last one on this list again is from the Essence range, and the scent is called Elegance. You get the eau de parfum concentration and a 100ml bottle size. Yes, so for ages this one drove me crazy, because it was one that smelled so familiar, and I knew that I'd smelled this scent DNA hundreds if not thousands of times before, but I just couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And then this morning it just suddenly popped into my head, and I thought, yeah, that's definitely what it's meant to be. This one is a copy of Hugo Boss The Scent. And this one is maybe a slightly touch more fresh and fruity in the opening, but the dry down is identical. And I really enjoy this one. It smells great, and I'd say that even the performance on this is on a par, or if not a little bit better than the original, because you're probably only going to get 4 or 5 hours or maybe 6 hours tops out of the scent anyway. But what's really impressive with this one is the Boss The Scent uses Maninka fruit, which is such a rare note, and for this one to basically do a 1-to-1 clone of it, I think is really impressive, and really good from Lidl to be able to produce this one. So well impressed with this one. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence by trying to claim that these smell as good or better than a Dior or a Chanel fragrance. But on the whole, I'm massively impressed with these, and for under a £5 a bottle, you literally can't go wrong. I think these would also be great to buy if you've got like a teenage son who's looking for his first couple of fragrances to start his collection off, and maybe to wear at the school disco or something like that. In terms of which ones I like the best, I'd say that these new Essence ones with the EDP concentration are better quality and longer lasting. And my pick of this particular line would be this Elegance, because I've always loved how Hugo Boss The Scent smells. Out of all the others, I'd say the Sauvage copy and the Bleu de Chanel copy are really good. These are probably the safest and the most likeable too if you're looking to buy any of these for someone else. The most disappointing one is the one that I would say, this one here, called The One. It doesn't last, and if it's supposed to be a copy of 1 million, it's way off the mark, and this is the only one that I'd say isn't even worth the £5. So that's it for this one-off episode featuring Lidl fragrances. Don't forget to let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see more reviews on low-cost, wallet-friendly fragrances. I do try to bring a bit of something for everyone on my channel, but like I say, we don't all have £200 spare to just go out and buy a niche fragrance. So I really do enjoy creating this type of content and bringing economical ways for you guys to discover and enjoy new fragrances. So as always, thank you very much for tuning into this special episode, and if it's been useful to you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So until next time, stay safe, keep smelling fresh, and I'll see you very soon for another Perfume Parlour one. Bye bye for now.